Hello and welcome to LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. As cities across the nation deal with rising crime, Los Angeles is using community policing to diffuse tensions. Joining us to discuss this issue is Deputy LAPD Chief Emada Tingirides. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing in the Community Safety Partnership Bureau.
The Community Safety Partnership Bureau started in 2011, and we have dedicated police officers assigned to public housing developments in city parks that have experienced a high rate of crime and in the past a lack of trust with law enforcement. Our officers are in the community building relationships, building trust, and looking at some of our quality of life issues in crime, utilizing a public health approach and their relationships to make change in the community.
Wow, interesting. So what's been the reaction from the community to the work that's being done?
The reaction from the community from when we started to where we're at now has been transformational. This program was the brainchild of civil rights attorney Connie Rice, working with the LAPD and the Housing Authority to really address some of the cause and tension that was occurring in these communities. These are communities that have had tension with law enforcement for decades, and to have a civil rights attorney come in and look at what the crime was in those communities, but also look at the relationships between law enforcement and the community was the premise for the Community Safety Partnership Program. And 10 years later, we've been able to build those relationships. The officers have learned how to humanize the community, and the community humanized the officers. We've been able to address some of the quality of life issues, working in partnership with the council district offices, our schools, our nonprofits, to make a huge change in the communities that need us the most.
Mm-hmm. Were the results seen immediately, or did they happen very gradually?
The results happen very gradually. It takes time to build that relationship. It takes time for the officers to really gain an understanding of what's going on in the community. So it was incremental. And as trust was built and friendships were forged between the officers and communities, we began to see change.
That's wonderful. So I'm curious, how does policing and what you're doing, how does it diffuse racial tensions?
Anytime that you're willing to understand the cultures of the community that you're working in, and you have an organization and a department that now reflects the community that you're working in, all of that helps build trust and relationships and diffuse tension. One of the reasons why this program was so important and placed in some of our most vulnerable communities was because of a lack of trust and the tension between law enforcement and the community. Mm-hmm. And when the officers set out understanding that they weren't going into these communities to suppress it, but they were actually going into these communities to understand it and make a change and work together, that diffuses that tension and that allows a window for us to come together to make change in the community.
Mm-hmm. And those changes happen little by little. When you talked about distrust, talk about breaking down those barriers.
It starts with understanding. I have told my officers, it's okay sometimes to say I'm sorry. Not necessarily sorry for what I have done to you, but I'm sorry if you feel in the past you've been mistreated by law enforcement. The word sorry is so powerful. And if you work with the truth and reconciliation component to that and understand that hurt, you can begin to heal. And when you heal and build that trust and relationships, you can slowly begin to make change in the community. A lot of the communities that our officers are working in have been forgotten, and they have been victimized. And they've been victimized not only by some of the social systems or the lack of resources in the community, but there's been a historical tension between law enforcement and some of the communities that our CSP officers are working in. This policing philosophy, we are in our 11th year of this, And I've seen the transformation. Our police officers have seen the transformation. And sometimes it just starts with the words, "I'm sorry."
Wow, that's powerful. On a personal level, when you first decided to join the police department, what did your friends say?
I had a lot of friends say, "You're too nice to be a police officer." And at times I felt maybe I am, but really a police officer is a peace officer. And it's our job to go out and be respectful and police constitutionally and engage with individuals on a human nature. And I knew that my demeanor and what I stood for and my integrity is what makes LAPD what it is. And I decided to become a police officer after the Rodney King incident. And I felt really compelled to want to go back to my community and build that relationship and that trust. I also saw what gangs and crack cocaine had done to the community of Watts, and I felt compelled to want to get back there and help resolve those issues and make the community that I'm so proud of better.
Since the unrest in 1992, what changes have you seen in the police department?
I've seen so much change within LAPD. There's been so many changes as it relates just to technology, to us adopting the body-worn video and digital in-car video. We now have an Inspector General's office that has an oversight of some of our policies and procedures. The LAPD has really engaged and deepened their understanding and actions as it relates to community policing. The LAPD now reflects the community that we serve. A lot has changed since 1992, and one of our core values is quality through continuous improvement. We've looked at ourselves internally. We've asked the community externally to help make us better. One of the things that we do within the Community Safety Partnership Program is community sentiment surveys. We ask the community, how do you want to be policed? What is it that you would like to see your officers doing in your community? The fact that we take that feedback and we implement it and put it into action and then go back and ask, how are we doing, has been a huge transformation in policing.
Do you think social media at all plays into this?
I think social media plays out as it relates to any information being shared. And I think that when you have technology at your fingertips and information comes in so quickly,
yes,
oftentimes that information can be slanted. Oftentimes that information may be missing critical information that the community needs in order to make decisions on where they're going or what their plans are throughout the day. So I think that social media, when used responsibly, can be very beneficial for law enforcement as it relates to sharing information. We also use social media when we're looking for a suspect, and it can be very, very beneficial for us. On the other hand, just as we saw the other day, an individual's at a restaurant and it gets on social media, and then information gets out that that person was harmed because they posted a picture on where they were at having lunch. So I think that it's a double-edged sword, social media, and we all have a responsibility in ensuring that we put out critical and accurate information, and in doing so, we better serve the community.
Excellent. Well, this has been a very enlightening conversation. Thank you so much, Deputy Chief Emada, Deputy LAPD Chief EmadaTingirides. We appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that is going to do it for us. I'm Anita Bennett. Thank you for watching LA Currents, and have a great day.